Hey, how you doing? This is Adam Post, publisher of more than 1,000 comic books and marketing expert covering Hollywood panics as more Americans are canceling their streaming services. Let's get into the story. Before we do, please be sure you are subscribed to the channel. Click the bell for notifications. Give me a thumbs up. I really appreciate you guys. Coming from Breitbart, rising cancellation of streaming services proves competition works. And from the Wall Street Journal, Americans are canceling more of their streaming services. Also from Breitbart, Gen Z and millennials say streaming costs them too much per month. And also from Breitbart, Wall Street sees hopeless economics for lousy streaming services. From the Wall Street Journal, Americans are canceling more of their streaming services. Hulu, Netflix, and other streamers are turning to bundles, discounts, and ad-supported plans as customer defections rise. Customers want value no matter what the service is. Bundles make sense if you can get a better deal on buying more than one streaming service. It's getting a lot harder for streaming services to hold on to their customers. Crystal Rivas, a mother of 6 in Lynn Haven, Florida, recently canceled her subscriptions to Disney Plus and Paramount Plus, among others, because of their swelling price tags and rising costs of living. She's also considering canceling Netflix, home to shows like The Crown and films including Leave the World Behind by the Obamas. Rivas is among the consumers nationwide paring their streaming bills and getting more strategic about when they turn services on and off. Customer defections across streaming services rose to 6.3% in November from 5.1% a year earlier. And Gen Z is really not interested in overpaying for streaming services. Even though a lot of us paid for basic cable and additional cable channels and paid a lot more than this, Gen Z and the millennials are not having it. Nonstop entertainment comes at a price, and for Gen Z and millennials, that price is increasingly too high, according to a poll. More than half of Gen Z and millennials believe they are overspending on streaming services each month. Axios has seen the results in full, but reports this: 58% of viewers would rather watch ads than pay for more ad-free streaming, and 62% prefer free, ad-supported streaming. 71% of Gen Z and millennials admit to canceling memberships that require a premium to gain more access. The survey consisted of around 2,500 adults who streamed video for at least 1 hour a week from December 23rd to January 2024. Libby Rodney, Chief Strategy Officer of the Harris Poll, told Axios costs and personnel outlay are everything for streamers. Quote, "In an age where every dollar counts, the rise of ad-supported streaming platforms is a testament to consumers' savvy pursuit of value without sacrificing content quality," she said. And this pushback from subscription services is still happening despite streaming services like Netflix and Disney offering lower-cost plans that include commercials. As the report states, there are two main reasons for these cancellations: budgeting and consumers running out of television shows and movies to watch on a particular streaming service, because a lot of the content is not any good. So why are you going to break your budget if the content's not even good? We're also seeing a lot of this bundling. The bundling makes sense for these streamers because they spend so much money to acquire a customer. If they can cross-sell or upsell a little bit and share in the revenue from that additional streaming service that you buy, it makes more money for them. But a lot of Gen Z and the millennials, they're not looking to pay more than $40 a month for their services all combined. People are just not loving these shows. There really aren't many breakout classic shows coming out of streaming. A lot of it is just garbage that people don't want to watch again and again. The shows they watch again and again are the classics that came before the recent streaming era. About a quarter of US subscribers to major streaming services, a group that includes all the major streaming services, have canceled at least 3 of them over the past 2 years, according to November data from subscription analytics provider Antenna. 2 years ago, that number stood at 15%, a sign that streaming users are becoming increasingly fickle. But with streaming services increasing their rates like they are, it's like, okay, do I pay for cable? Rivas, who is in her 40s, said of deciding what home entertainment to select. Under pressure to improve profitability and avoid having to reacquire users, streamers are trying a range of tactics to retain customers, from launching lower-cost ad-supported tiers of service to teaming up with rivals on bundle deals and providing discounts on free months of service. The bundle discounts make a lot of sense for consumers if you're interested in the content, because if you buy an additional channel and you get it cheaply, you might get value out of that. For the streaming services, it's worth it for them because they get an additional subscriber that hopefully they won't lose, because a lot of times when you get locked into one bill and that bill includes one or more services, you just kind of keep those services. There's less of a tendency to go and select, oh, I want to cancel this additional service or that additional service. And then sometimes as a bundle, you're kind of committed to all those services. It's called cross-selling. Like when you go into McDonald's, you place an order and they ask you, would you like fries with that? That's actually a sophisticated sales technique, and it made a lot of money for McDonald's. When you order a burger and the salesperson asks, would you like fries with that? You've experienced a marketing tactic called cross-selling. The strategy encourages customers to purchase additional products and services that are related to the item they are already buying. So the cost of selling you that extra product is very little for the company. And there's a moment as a customer when you're in the mind of buying anyway, and you already commit to buying anyway, that it feels like less of a burden to add something else on. When I go into a fast food place, I don't see a lot of additional upselling. They used to do this in a little bit more of a consistent way. At this point, I'm just lucky if they understand me when I place the order. But they used to use some more sophisticated techniques like this to try to increase their revenue, and it really works, and it does make sense for the streaming services. Revis planned to cancel Hulu, home to shows such as Faraway Downs and Only Murders in the Building, but decided to keep it because the service offered her 6 months of its ad-supported service for $2.99 a month, less than half of its typical $7.99 per month. Benny Goldberg, who is 48 years old, has downgraded some services to control costs. He switched from a $22.99 a month premium Netflix plan to its $15.49 a month standard plan, limiting the number of devices that can watch the service at the same time and lowering the viewing resolution. Netflix has long had the lowest rate of customer defections among major streamers. Goldberg also cancels sports add-ons to his YouTube TV subscription when events are over. Quote, I'm focusing on the ones that me and my family watch the most, said the father of two in North Texas, who typically watches movies and TV shows on Disney Plus with his family on Friday nights. Some customers who turn off a service return to it later, according to Antenna. 1 in 4 people who cancel a premium streaming service typically resubscribe to that service within 4 months, and 1 in 3 do so within 7 months. Half do so within 2 years. Well, retention doesn't just mean holding on to a new subscriber for the first time they get them. It's about managing a relationship over a true customer lifetime, said Jonathan Carson, co-founder and chief executive of Antenna. Antenna compiles data from third-party services that collect information from consumers with their consent, such as online purchases, bills, and banking records. Streamers will have to become more sophisticated about when they try to win back customers, he said. For example, they might target ads and marketing efforts at people who tend to watch at a certain time of year. Ad-supported plans offer streaming services a way to attract new customers and win back those customers who have canceled their subscriptions and want to pay less. Among the U.S. customers who joined Disney Plus for the first time in November or converted from a trial, nearly 60% opted for the ad-supported tier, which was a complete shock to Disney. They did not know they would generate this much money from ad-supported services. They claim they generate more revenue from ad-supported streaming services than they do from their higher-priced ad-free plan. Netflix used to say they would never have paid advertising with their service. Now they do. Now all streaming services are going in that direction. Disney's figure was bolstered by a Black Friday promotion and is up from 25% in December 2022 when the ad tier was launched. More than 1/3 of new U.S. Netflix customers in November opted for the ad tier, compared with 11% a year earlier when the ad-supported version was introduced. Streamers say ad-supported plans are a win-win for them and price-sensitive customers, bringing in revenue from monthly subscriptions as well as ad sales. Some rivals have begun bundling their ad-supported tiers of service, offering a discounted rate in the hopes that customers see value in the offering and stick around longer. Verizon in early December began offering some of its customers a bundle that includes the ad-supported tiers of Netflix and Max for about $10 per month instead of about $17. Warner Bros. Discovery CEO David Zaslav, also known as the Zaz, has said bundling is an important part of the business's future and can provide a good customer experience. Disney has said customers are less likely to cancel its streaming service when they pay for its bundle of Disney Plus, ESPN Plus, and Hulu. Brendan Byrne, a 40-year-old father of 4 in the Boston area, pays for streaming services including Netflix, the Disney Bundle, Amazon Prime Video, and Paramount Plus, in addition to cable, but is starting to question the value of some of those subscriptions. You probably should, Brendan. It's about time to take another look at that. After the 2023 Hollywood writers and actor strikes, Quote, the lack of content is evident across all these streaming things right now, he said. We'll cut back on a few of them, Burns said. We're just not using them. Well, why are you keeping them if you're using them? Especially because you could re-sign them at any time. And from Breitbart, Wall Street sees hopeless economics for lousy streaming services. The Wall Street Journal says investors see only hopeless economics for Hollywood streaming services. Here are the 3 most interesting items in the piece. The new writer's contract, this is the settlement after the strike, quote, will likely mean that companies will make fewer new shows and cancel them even more that are on the bubble. One longtime producer says the number of scripted shows that Hollywood produces could fall by 1/3 in the next 3 years. And we know from additional stories, the number has dropped significantly. It's a depression for Hollywood writers. It's the veterans that are getting the most work, the people who, when you hire them, you know they can deliver. But even the veterans have been having a hard time getting work because there just aren't that many new shows getting greenlighted. They're hardly even buying pilots at this point for new shows. Streamers have no choice but to cut down on content. Currently, some 300 plus new TV shows. New TV shows on top of the ones already in production are produced annually, and no one watches about 290 of them. You're talking about billions of dollars spent on crap that nobody watches on streaming platforms losing billions of dollars. And of course that couldn't last, and now it's finally coming to pass. The studios are cutting those shows. Quote, the studios held the line on key issues. Streamers won't publicly release viewing data despite the writers' demands for transparency, but instead will give data on how shows fared to the guild confidentially to share with its members in aggregate form. Writers won residuals based on streaming success. That's great, but Wall Street and the public will remain in the dark on streaming viewership numbers, which only means one thing. Those numbers are so awful, the studios fear the truth will damage the stock price. And it's not just the stock price. When studios go and buy content and say, well, look, we think this content has a 2-year life, a 5-year life, a 10-year life, they're able to do accounting tricks that show the value of what they're spending the money on. If they show that a high percentage of their shows are not actually being watched, there is no value to the show. Like you could spend $200 million making a few episodes of a show. If that show does not get reasonable viewership, like an average amount of viewership where people are actually interested in watching the show and are interested in rewatching the show, which with the woke shows, people hardly even watch them, if they watch them at all. They're certainly not rewatching them. We covered that in another story. But if they have to report streaming numbers that publicly expose that these shows really are not worth anywhere near the money they're spending on them, it would call into question their entire business model. They really can't have those numbers go public. Quote, the root problem is that there are too many streaming services. That is creating confusion for consumers and hopeless economics for the companies. Consolidation, whether in the form of mergers, joint ventures, or bundles, has to come to the streaming world for the industry to be viable. Well, it's not just viability, it's also cost effectiveness. If you spend a lot of money to acquire a customer and you can sell a customer something that doesn't really compete with what you're doing, it's just like a little something extra. Like, do you want fries with that? Offering fries to a customer is not going to make you not want to buy a hamburger. The cost of offering those fries is 0. And the value is high because your cost was 0. So we should expect to see a lot of bundling in the future. What consolidation means, though, is that for, say, $49.99 a month, you subscribe to a streaming package that includes multiple streaming services, Disney+, Netflix, Paramount+, Criterion, ESPN, and more. For decades, studios made billions of dollars off cable TV because 120 million households paid $150 a month for a bunch of channels they never watched. This bonanza removed merit from TV. After all, why try to please the masses when the masses are asses willing to pay $150 a month for dozens of channels they never even watch? So what did we get instead of decent TV? For that, $150 a month, we got 20 minutes of ads per hour, left-wing propaganda, gay everything, and decades of the nostalgic opioid of Law & Order and CIS, The Simpsons, CSI, and remakes of Hawaii Five-0 and woke Star Trek. Today, the studios are in a panic because only about 60 million still have cable TV, and their lousy streaming services are losing billions. What terrifies and panics the studios the most is that streaming demands merit. People must like your content before they subscribe or continue to subscribe to it. Streamers are losing billions because they continue to produce the same woke crap they did for cable, left-wing propaganda where everyone's gay and dads are dumb. If the studios succeed in rigging the streaming world with bundles, if they successfully recreate the cable TV con where you pay either $49.99 to access streaming or you get no streaming at all, the studios win and we lose. But what I think is going to happen is this. Cable TV, the way it's distributed typically, is they offer multiple packages where you can kind of choose what you want, add this, take away that. Even so, basic cable is pretty expensive. Essentially, your basic cable will be the main streaming service that you subscribe to, whether it's Max or Netflix or Hulu, and then they will have add-ons of other people's channels that you'll pay additional money for. But those add-ons will be very cheap. So in addition to these streaming services selling their own content, selling additional content is very inexpensive for them. They don't need to produce that extra content. In that case, they're just a distributor or a reseller. According to Axios' survey, Gen Z and millennials don't really want to spend more than $40 per month on streaming services. That's pretty much their ceiling. So we will probably see bundles that approach $40 per month with a mix of streaming services. But Hollywood needs to figure this out, and they need to figure it out as quickly as they can, because people are not willing to spend an unlimited amount of money for multiple streaming services. And if they don't make it affordable, they're just going to get more cancellations. Let me know what you think of all this in the comments below. Always love to see your ideas. Please be sure you are subscribed to the channel. Click the bell for notifications, give me a thumbs up, and I'll see you again soon with another story. And if I don't see you, I will miss you.